What is good? What is good, everybody? Wow, this has been a crazy couple of days. I tell you what, me personally, I never saw this coming. Today, for listening to this video, we're going to be talking about PSTH, Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, and everything that has transpired over the last couple of days. And there is a lot to go over. And just from what I'm seeing, a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace for short-term traders, people with options, people holding warrants, and just people that are really long this stock that have been holding ever since NAV. There is a lot of different feelings in the marketplace. It's really hard to kind of disseminate exactly how this is going to play out. I have my own opinion, which I will go over a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and start off what happened. So Pershing Square, we had a leak. Matter of fact, I was on my phone when this leak happened, scrolling through stocktwits like I do a few times a day, just checking on some of my longs and some of my options plays. And all of a sudden, something broke. You could tell people were just posting just articles from the Wall Street Journal, and then subsequently after that, we started getting more leaks from different sources. And in the beginning, it like broke my heart when I saw that they were merging with Universal Music Group, and I'm sure a lot of other people too. I mean, it felt like, honestly, like losing a loved one, because there are a lot of stocks and there is a lot of following for like different SPACs, but honestly, Pershing Square, the people that have been loyal and dedicated to this particular SPAC and Bill Ackman, they're just a different breed, especially given the history and everything that has been said from the beginning kind of posts and the feeling out with, like, we have the technology tweets, and then being able to get the 2.9 warrants and then early access to PSTH2. I mean, it has been a lot for a lot of people. And then obviously in February, we were at all-time highs. Warrants were at all-time highs. I mean, almost $17. I think the high was $17.62 on warrants. And as you can see now, I mean, it is just looking grim. So, there is a lot of confusion, especially with this, I would say, acquisition. And it's almost as if people aren't really sure, and things get confusing. I would say not only does Wall Street not like it, but maybe retail investors also don't like it. So we're going to see a definite reaction in the marketplace. The problem is how long until that reaction corrects itself. We did see some movement and a small bottom resistance at 2162 when it started selling off immediately after we heard the news. And after hours, of course, we found a small bottom, and then I feel like the stock was hoping to open the next day, and at night when people were getting this news from Bill Ackman, he even said, have a good night, Tontards. There was some like optimism, I think, because once they released like the full details of what was going to happen, people really started to realize, okay, this is more than just a classic acquisition. As far as Universal Music Group, it's just not a sexy target. Yeah, they have year-over-year growth, and yeah, they make money, and yeah, they have a very dominant control of the market. I think maybe 30% of the overall music market in the United States, and then overseas, they also have a pretty substantial share. And then just their ties to like royalties with like Spotify and streaming. There's just a couple different plays too with like NFTs. People might be speculating. There just might be more to the deal. But anyways, not a sexy target. And when you consider the fact that people were long this expecting something like Stripe, Bloomberg, Inspire Foods, Starlink, SpaceX was obviously, tossed around. Porsche, Chick-fil-A, these are companies that people would love to get early in on, and that's what a lot of people that invest in SPACs do. They take these young companies that have awesome growth potential, and they're able to get into them at great prices. And people are willing to lock up their money and take risks in these investments. And so all that being said, the target was Universal Music Group, and I never in a million years have seen people lose their minds on StockTwits. And to be honest, I was one of them. I was posting very bearish things. I was frustrated. I myself have a very risky trading strategy right now because of all the money I've lost since February, and I had some really short-term options. I did the exact thing you're not supposed to do, aka Bill Ackman Spackman. What he said is, quote, "What I don't want people doing is buying short-term options." Well, guess what? People bought short-term options. There was a lot that traded hands on 618 and even 611. So what we have now is a very complicated problem, and if you're listening to this and you have any questions, there are some really good ways to kind of figure out what we're looking at if you really want to unpack the deal and go through it piece by piece. And what I will say is, if I had a lot of money sitting around, this would be an amazing 1-2 year return. I mean, you can't ask for something much better. I mean, we are getting in a pre-IPO price. We don't know what it's going to hit the Amsterdam exchange at, but being able to get in at a 40 billion valuation approximately, and when other people are saying it has like a 48 billion valuation, some people are saying it's 60 billion. I've even heard people speculate like it could be 100 billion. We don't know until obviously we get the DA signed, and then obviously when they list, we won't know. But to be able to get in pre-IPO is really nice, and I would love to, if I had the money, invest $1 million in this, and then see it 5x my money. I mean, you get some really attractive stuff, especially if Bill Ackman is able to take the remaining amount in the trust, which is 1.5, and then I think he has the option to kick in another 1.5. So we're looking at about a 3 billion acquisition. You can still get 5 to 10% of a really good company. I mean, even close to what we were targeting before. The problem is people are just frustrated at the structure and then the way it was released, and then I think the fact that Bill Ackman can't necessarily talk about the deal until it's signed, which is going to be on June 22nd. So people are stuck. Some people are selling, some people are taking haircuts. I feel like options traders like myself are just gonna have a lot of money expire worthless, and that isn't fun. A lot of people seem to get a little toxic when you say you're a short-term options trader. They kind of say, well, you're gonna learn, or that's what you get, or but sometimes people just don't have the capital to make really substantial investments, and we all gotta evaluate our risk tolerance. And I've done some really high conviction trades and done well, and I've made some high conviction options trades and have done really poorly. And unfortunately, I had my hopes high for PSTH, and it's kind of weird because I want to be disappointed because obviously I'm not gonna 5x 10x my money because of the type of trade I did myself. But in the end, it's really attractive because I also have some longs and some options trades and a couple other SPACs that I'm hoping they announce. And if I can execute those trades really well, I'm going to take whatever capital I have and dump it in here. I mean, the one thing that I'm a little bit iffy on, and if you don't know, so the pro rata share of the UMG shares is $14.75, which is accounting for any dilution from PSTH distributable redeemable warrants. And so we're left over with $5.25 cash before accounting dilution from PSTH redeemable warrants. The one thing that I was going to say though is these shares are going to be over-the-counter shares trading on the Amsterdam Europe stock exchange. Okay, so that creates complications, especially for people that are retail traders like Robinhood. I mean, Webull definitely has warrants, but there are a lot of platforms that people trade through that have fees and limitations, and things aren't as clear cut right now, at least for me and for a lot of people. And so that complication is making people a little bit iffy on how things are gonna shake out. I would really like it if it ended up listed on the New York Stock Exchange. That would be so much better for the structure. I think for all of the PSTH longs, especially for all the retail, I just feel like it's going to get so confusing for a lot of people. But the fact that we're going to be able to get equity pre-IPO in UMG, and the fact that I'm not 100% sure, but what if this thing ends up IPOing at like $30? So that's definitely some decent return, especially if we can get a good acquisition on PSTH. And then the third kicker is also the Spark, which is it's like a transferable 5-year right that's going to trade on the New York Stock Exchange, and they're going to be going after, I feel like it's a $15 billion Spark. Let's see, we're going to take a look here. I feel like, so the Spark is going to be 10.5 billion, not including any pipe. Any business entity with 10.5 billion purchasing power is going to create a formidable business acquisition for its shareholders. There we go, right here. So the Spark is something that's interesting. It's something newly created, and it's the acronym for the newly formed company is something that is super intriguing for some people, because you get the option to buy the stock at $20. And I feel like, if I understand this correctly, you have 5 years. So, let's say you have, 100,000 shares of PSTH. I feel like, if you're going to 2, 3, 4x your money, and then also have the right to buy this, the thing is you don't have to do that right away. You could wait for them to find this great company, and depending on how it does in the marketplace, you can then buy in like a warrant 3-4 years from now. Let's just say the stock's trading mid 200s. That definitely gives us a very great chance at making some serious money, and it's just a great kind of value play, and I feel like it's complicated, but I really like it myself. I want to take a chance and throw some money in this, so long as things go my way. But if you guys have any questions, there is a really good article posted by Neviart. Here he is right here. This is on Reddit, and this breaks down the whole deal itself. So obviously the Spark is not a SPAC, it's a special purpose acquisition rights company. So it's unlike a traditional SPAC, Spark does not intend to raise capital through underwritten offering, which investors commit capital without knowing the company which the Spark will combine. Instead, Spark intends to issue rights to acquire common stock for Spark for $20 per share to PSTH holders, which then can be exercised after the Spark enters to a DA for its initial business combination. The SPAR is expected to trade on the New York Stock Exchange and have a term of 5 years subject to extension. I mean, to be honest, I feel that the 1.5 billion trust probably already has a target. I feel like, what else has he been doing for the last 7 months? Negotiating UMG? Like, come on, that doesn't feel right. I really feel like the next company's lined up, and to be honest, I feel like the Spark's lined up too. I feel like this is just like gonna happen within like the next year, or 8 months. I could be wrong, but I really feel like they know where they're going with this. They know what they're targeting. It's a crazy twist to a crazy last 9 months, and I hope that everyone gets through this okay. take a look at stocktwits and see what's going on. I want my Tontine warrants. It'd be a nice way to offset some of the losses. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people sold out of loss when the news first dropped. And then a lot of people were kind of like, man, imagine if you sold, at the low once they heard about, the complexity of the deal once that dropped. But then, obviously, when it opened up today, or yesterday actually now, it just got hammered. It kept going down. So we were seeing some all-time lows. So he's wondering what European shareholders are supposed to get from the deal. Disadvantage. All right, so he's talking about the difference between Europe and New York Stock Exchange. 20% discount on UMG listed publicly in Amsterdam. Best case scenario, that's 50 billion true valuation. Yeah, so we talked about this earlier. There's a good chance that this comes in at a higher valuation and then it lists higher. So there's built-in money right there. Intrinsically value the UMG shares plus cash, trust plus Spark rights, probably around 20 30. I agree a lot. I just feel frustrated for warrant holders, for longs, and obviously for option holders. But for serious investors, I mean, this is an amazing structure. And Bill Ackman's doing some futuristic fucking mind stuff going on here. He's running circles around all these SPAC sponsors doing this crazy deal. So he's definitely changed the game up a little bit. These guys are all bullish, not bothered. Warrants come from my losses. Okay. A lot of people bullish tonight, but we will see definitely some criticism of the deal. What's an ADR? Honestly, got rid of the option crackheads in the subless meat. Yeah, it's weird to have this come to an end. So many people were just every day checking in on this. I mean, honestly, I was one of them. And, man, these fucking people on CNBC, I swear their job is to just make people look like shit. They try so hard to just fuck things up on purpose. Obviously, there is a good way to frame some of this stuff. And they have real world market consequences when they're reporting on things and they're not up to date on how everything works. This is a very, very well-read criticism. I'm still pissed. David Fravor said the warrants go away at the end of the report. A misleading statement that confused everyone in the warrants. Starts around the mark 3 minutes towards the end. Yeah, I heard him say that. He mentioned 3 or 4 things that weren't true or, weren't exactly true. Someone leaked this deal before Ackman was ready to report this, and he had to scramble to get the press release. He still can't say anything until June 22nd once DA signed. He needs to explain the confusion. Yeah. Once Ackman comes in, he'll probably cool some investors, he'll cool some retail heads. And yeah, right here, people fear what they don't understand. This is the case right now. You're selling because you were scared on how to evaluate Bill's deal. Scared money don't make money. Yeah, so don't criticize me for buying short-term options. Whoever panics sold here will be sorry. Agreed. Deal's complex. Spark's going to be big. Yeah, so basically the Spark is going to be even bigger than PSTH. And we're still getting PSTH. To be honest, if I could wave my magic wand, I would have much rather him kept United Music out of it. If he could have found a target, signed a DA with Plaid, Stripe, Porsche, and then at the same time restructured the SPAC to where $3 billion of the original SPAC was going to get 10% of Porsche, and then he spun off the UMC. If he did that at the same time, this would have ended up completely different. So that's unfortunate, and I kind of wonder if the leak fucked it up. I wonder if he was gonna drop 2 DAs at the same time just to kind of mic drop it. You have to wonder, because people were saying how close this deal has been with no leaks, and then all of a sudden at the last minute Wall Street Journal breaks the news. I feel like that wasn't meant to happen. So okay, yesterday I woke up pissed off. Yesterday there was absolutely no benefit whatsoever to buy in early. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you wasted money, opportunity cost. Now it's trading even lower than it was before he said 3 weeks ago we have a deal that's going to close in 3 weeks. Yeah, this was a slap in the face for a lot of people, regardless of your position and regardless of how good you think the deal is. Like the way things have gone down, it has really screwed some stuff up for everybody. All right, here we go. Here's some bearish comments. Yes, a single P. Yeah, people were trashing Bill yesterday. Wow. And don't worry, I said my fair thing. So here I am. Can you discuss who's in talks with PSTH? I would love to get out of my options and comments if we can get a hint at something good. All right. It's not a SPAC anymore, so he possibly could with the target permission. Who knows how this UMG leak happened? But one of the two sides leaked it, presumably with the permission of the other, but we don't know that. Okay, so this is kind of what I was just touching on. I'm going to like that. So it's not a SPAC anymore. And I think it is still a SPAC. The spark isn't a SPAC, but the trust that we have right now, I don't feel like it got de-SPAC. The UMG shares were purchased not in a SPAC format, but I feel like the trust still is a SPAC. But this guy obviously, must know more than me. That'd be awesome if it wasn't, and he was gonna leak both of them at the same time. That would have been best case scenario. So maybe there's more to the deal, and maybe my options are destroyed. So I hold out hopes for all you longs and option holders. It's over. Yeah, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Who says the last 7 months of negotiation were with 3MG? Maybe the remaining 1.5 were with the target. Dude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. Vivendi back in November. Bingo. Yeah, so, this honestly, okay, I'm going to say something. Because my last video I made